This video is about how modern technologies are designed with planned obsolescence. If you are watching this on a smartphone, you might have experienced your phone slowing down with every update, your battery draining out faster, and every time you see a new model, you might consider your phone to be outdated. But when you check specifications, it might not have any major differences. While you see the same old box TV owned by your grandparents is running the same as the first day you saw it. Before I talk about planned obsolescence, I should have a quick word about what it is. You have either come here because you want to know more about it or wonder what it means. Obsolescence comes from obsolete. When something is obsolete, it is no longer relevant, no longer used, it is out of date. The most common way for a product to become obsolete is for it to be replaced by something new. And this is where planned obsolescence comes in. Planned obsolescence is when various strategies are used to make a product seem undesirable, useless, and unwanted. There are many ways in which a business can do this, and it is one of the building blocks for many companies to make a profit. There are four main ways in which a company can achieve planned obsolescence. If only all companies were as interested in looking after their customers as they are with earning a profit, planned obsolescence would be obsolete. Contrived durability is the most common way for planned obsolescence to happen and is when parts break down intentionally. Companies make their product with parts which they know are going to fail, and in products which you know you will buy again. How often have you been in someone's garage or basement and seen one of those old fridges still working? New fridges, in most cases, do not last as long as the old ones, and there is a reason for that. Companies know that when your fridge dies, you will buy a new one. There are many other examples where a product will break down and a consumer will buy a replacement, often a slightly newer model. Unreliable parts are almost always to blame. Your printer does not work and you have tried to update your drivers to get it to do something. Still, it will not print. You search and you find that your printer is no longer compatible with your updated operating system. There is nothing to do but buy a new printer. Software updates can drive consumers to throw out an old product and buy a new one. Think about your smartphone. It works fine. You can call, text, use a bunch of apps. But after numerous updates, you find that your smartphone can't handle it anymore. You may also find that the most recent software updates are no longer compatible with your phone. There is nothing for it other than to buy a new phone. Many otherwise good products fall victim to software updates, and companies know exactly what they are doing with this. One of the most common forms of planned obsolescence is clever marketing. There does not even need to be anything wrong with your product for you to want to replace it. This happens a lot with smartphones. It is no wonder that an updated model comes out every year. You also have to contend with phones which have bigger screens, are more powerful, have a longer battery life, are waterproof, can do more, have cooler cases, can take more videos, have voice control, and are packed with AI. Sure, your phone can do everything which you need it to do, but can it do what everyone else's phone can do? The marketing gurus will tell you otherwise. The fear of missing out is strong, and companies know it. Before you buy a new product, ask yourself if you really need it. If you own an Apple smart device, then you know how hard it can be to repair or replace the part. While this is done for security, it also falls under prevention of repair. Even if you want to replace a battery in an Apple device, you may find yourself needing special tools just to unscrew screws, making it hard for users to replace parts. And it can be even more difficult to repair devices. When it does come to finding a professional to repair the device for you, it can often be more cost effective to replace the product entirely. To make phones thinner, you may not even be able to access battery to replace it. While this can improve the performance and look of a phone, you will eventually find your device stuck with an aging battery that cannot handle a fully functioning phone. Lowered battery performance and prevention of repair often go hand in hand, and because obtaining a new battery is rarely a choice, replacing an entire device is often the solution. On Christmas Eve in 1924, the head of Osram, Wilhelm, brought together the world's largest light bulb manufacturers, including the Netherlands' Philips, the UK's Associated Electrical Industries, France's Compagnie des Lamps, China Edison, Tokyo's Electric, and General Electric's Brazilian and Mexican subsidiaries to form a cartel that came to be known as the Phoebus, after the Greek god of light. The stated aim of Phoebus cartel was to ensure the advantage combining their manufacturing capabilities in the production of lamps, maintaining a uniformly high quality, increasing the effectiveness of electric lighting, and increasing light use to the advantage of the consumer. They did achieve the stated aim of high quality and effectiveness by increasing the output of the light per watt, but they also successfully completed their main goal of increasing the number of bulbs customers had to purchase per year. To ensure cooperation, all of the members had to submit their light bulbs for rigorous testing at a central Swiss laboratory, with any who exceeded the 1,000-hour standard being fined. Between 1926 and 1933, the average bulb lifespan dropped from 1,800 to 1,200 hours, and by 1934, almost no commercially available light bulb lasted more than 1,500 hours. The short lifespan of light bulbs was an engineering feat in itself, although not one of the progressive ones. Meanwhile, cartel's members enjoyed sales increase of up to 5-fold. The cartel fixed global light bulb prices and placed strict production quotas on its members, imposing steep fines on any who exceeded their assigned cap. By the 1930s, the Phoebus cartel was starting to unravel as several members started to get too greedy by aiming for greater market share, lowering prices, and increasing bulb lifespan in defiance of strict standards. The final blow was the start of the Second World War, which made further cooperation between the cartel's members impossible. One of the most famous instances of planned obsolescence comes from one of the biggest companies in the world, Apple. In 2018, French prosecutors went after the company. Under French law, it is a crime to intentionally shorten the lifespan of a product. As a result, Apple had to pay a $27 million fine, an amount that they make in around 3 hours. Apple admitted that older iPhone models was slowed down through software updates, though they claimed that this was because of diminishing battery performance rather than the software. Many iPhone users shared details of their phones being too slow to use. Apple slashed the prices of its replacement batteries so that the phones would speed up with the new software, and pledged to do more in the future to ensure that the phones did not slow again. With a new iPhone coming out every year, I am sure there is some planned obsolescence in there somewhere. Printers often go on sale and you can get a fantastic deal. But how good is that deal? Did you know that a replacement ink cartridge can cost more than the printer itself? There are even some ink cartridges with smart chips that will disable the ink cartridge when the ink levels are low. This means that you may not get to use all of the ink that you have paid for. There may be enough ink to print, but the cartridge will not let you in an effort to maintain quality control. You can also find that some cartridges cannot be refilled and others can only be refilled with certain ink or by certain retailers. With so much going into manufacturing each ink cartridge and so much waste, these products are not only expensive, they are awful for the environment too. You may imagine that planned obsolescence only applies to technology, but that is not the case. If you have ever been in school, you know how much textbooks can cost. There are many courses where the required reading is a textbook that is highly specialized and costly. It would be easy to complete the course and resell your textbook, but that would cut down on profits for authors and publishers. To stop this, textbooks are often reprinted with small changes, often skewing the page numbers when compared to the previous issue. This means that students are forced to buy these new copies instead of purchasing second-hand copies. New editions make previous versions of a textbook obsolete, and it forces students to hand over their cash. Fashion trends change so quickly that we need fast fashion to keep up, right? Unfortunately, fast fashion brands are not leaders when it comes to changing styles. They are followers. They keep track of popular clothing choices and bring to market those fashions while they are still in style. That means they could be flooding the market with these clothes a couple of weeks after a fashion begins trending. The problem with this is that to bring these clothes quickly to market, there have to be sacrifices. The clothes may be affordable, but they are almost certainly low quality and have a detrimental effect on the people who are making them and the environment. There are many ways that automakers use planned obsolescence, and it is no coincidence that they bring out a new model almost every year. The older your model of car, the less likely you are to find the parts needed to repair it. And this is often down to the manufacturer discontinuing the part. Many newer models give you not much more than cosmetic updates. They often change parts year on year, even if those parts work great. For that would mean more available parts for older models, and they would not be able to tempt you with the newer models. There is also the idea that cars are fashion accessories, and people will buy a newer model not because it is better, but because it can make them look better. We have talked about electronics that are hard to repair, and especially inaccessible batteries. When you look at doing it yourself, it is next to impossible with some devices, and manufacturers have a second trick up their sleeves. When you go to have a device repaired or a part replaced, the repair or replacement is often priced a little lower than a new unit. making it hard not to throw the device away and upgrade to a new one. Many batteries have a set life cycle, helping to prevent fires when the battery wears down. The combination of all these points means that you will eventually have to replace your battery, and when you do it, it might be easier just to upgrade. Now we understand that plenty of equipment deemed obsolete is still useful and retains market value for years after its supposed end of life date. Extending the life of your equipment can save your company a lot of money, but do you realize what it can do for the environment? E-waste is the enormous collection of computers, televisions, mobile devices, and all electronics, including, yep, you guessed it, your networking equipment that have all been discarded and dumped into landfills worldwide. What makes e-waste different from other garbage is its toxicity. Discarded electronics contain toxic materials that seep out and contaminate the environment. The rate of technological innovation continues to increase rapidly, which unfortunately means that the landfills full of e-waste are increasing rapidly as well. This, combined with the planned obsolescence and other premature end-of-life processes, accounts for harmful electronic waste that is becoming an increasing threat to the environment. What's worse is that so much of this that is taking up space in the land worldwide shouldn't have been thrown away in the first place.
If you have personally experienced something similar or want to share your opinions about the topic, then don't forget to leave a comment. Thank you for watching the video. If you like the video, don't forget to like and share the video. Subscribe to support the channel and to be updated about the new uploads.